Now you may have noticed throughout my videos that there's been a general theme. And that theme is that I love watches. But I'm also quite a creative person. I like building things and making things, which then would lead you to sort of think that watchmaking or modding watches would definitely be something that I'd be interested in. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches, and it absolutely is something that interests me, but I do struggle. I struggle with these tiny little fine movements. I find perhaps that it's not my sort of perfect thing for me to do because I struggle with it. I'm better at making big things. I built this studio. It is big things. I can put them together, I can visualize, and I can make it. But as soon as I start doing those little tiny things, I struggle. Maybe it's because I drink a little bit too much coffee in the morning, but I'm not quite sure. But either way, I struggle a little bit, and I struggle a little bit with the idea of also buying the parts and cobbling it together, and are those things going to fit? Is that movement going to fit in that holder, in that case? And I also feel that when I look at these individual parts, perhaps I'd end up with a little bit of a Frankenstein type watch, and I wouldn't then actually end up wearing it. Which is why when I do feel creative and I do want to be a little bit more involved with watches and want to build something myself, I then do the easy thing. And I think it is the easy way of doing it. And I don't think that is a negative, I think of that as a positive. So I go to the website Namoki. I've done a few watch builds from a few different companies before, but Namoki watches, well, they're my favorite build kits because the watches themselves are the best watches that I've come across in these kit style formats. And they make it relatively idiot proof because they give you all the bits and pieces that fit together perfectly. They give you the instructions. There's some online tutorials if you're a little bit worried. And if you have any issues, they've got a great sort of customer service as well. You can talk to them. So when I wanted to do another build, I reached out to this company. And as you probably would have seen earlier in the video, that sponsored icon popped up. That is because they were nice enough to send me out another build kit, which is awesome because I now get to build another watch, and I end up with a watch that I'm going to like because I know I like their watches. But because they sponsor this video, I'm just going to leave a link just directly to their website so you can check out their parts, their bits and pieces. But it's their build kits that I would direct you towards because, well, I think they're great build kits with watches that you'll end up with that are really nice and worth owning. So we're going to start, of course, it is Namoki. So I wanted to show you that, and I'm showing and I'm wearing my other Namoki build that I did last month. And I love how they come in these little individual tins, all the bits and pieces. There's the hands, there's the movement. I've already put my little finger cots on. I think I should get some more of them. Now I've already got this toolkit from the last time I did a build from them, so that's quite good. I'm going to speed up a little bit of footage as we go along, otherwise this is going to end up being a longer video. But I'm just trying to lay out everything that came with it, plus some of the tools, plus showing off my little finger cots. I just like wearing the 3 on each hand. I think that's the best way to do it, otherwise it gets a little bit sweaty. Gives you some instructions, and the instructions are fairly simple. I wouldn't say they're particularly involved, but they're good to use. Yes, okay, I'm getting old. That's a recent addition to my life, reading glasses. Yeah, this year alone, suddenly it's all turned to crap. You'll see on the back of the dial here that there are 4 little posts. That is to fit in with the movement, but you only need 2 posts. Depending on which way or orientation you want the dial, you need to remove 2 posts. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just removing it. You just grab onto them, you go back and forth, and I just try and show you, get it in focus. It's just a tiny little bit of steel. Yep. I'm not sure why I'm spending so much time showing you that, but yep, a little bit of steel. Got to take the other one off as well. You can see I'm being all fancy with my editing here and using 2 camera angles. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more interesting. Also trying to create a little bit of movement as well. As you can see, I'm sort of zooming out a little bit here. All right, okay, here, movement. Yep, all right, so this is the Seiko NH35. It is the date variant, obviously. It comes with the kit. It's great that we get everything in its own little sort of containers. We get all the bits that fit together. Speeding up again here. Got to use that little blower, blow everything all the time, get dust off. This dial, can you see it already? It's lovely. It's silver dial. I've got something about silver dials is just, yeah, it just works for me. I quite like it, but it's got this waffle pattern on this one here. Now when you put it on, you just got to make sure it sits down flat onto the actual movement itself. There's no locking mechanisms or anything on the NH series. You just got to push it down. But when it is a date variant of a movement, you got to flick it over to, yes, so that's midnight. So you know that is now midnight, so you can start putting hands on. And you've got to start with, of course, the hour hand. Now, these hands obviously suit this sort of design of watch. It is pretty much a homage sort of style of watch, but I just like the overall design, especially with this sort of silvery dial. I think it's quite nice. Now I'm trying to still learn how to put hands on or get better at it. I think it literally is, the more you do it, the better you get at it. I've been watching quite a few videos of other people doing mods and builds and people doing sort of restorations of movements, and I'm finding that they use Rodico or use the tweezers to grab onto the hands. I feel really bad grabbing the hands with tweezers. I think I'm going to damage them, so I tend to try and stick the Rodico in there. But I've got a bit of an issue with this, or these little hand pusher runner thingies. I'm sure there's a good name for that. Problem is that I'm not very good at pushing down, and when I do, you can see I'm moving around a little bit, which is not very good, which means I'm pushing it at weird angles, and I'm trying to get on top of that little cannon pinion there. And you've got to get it at the right angle, and then you've got to also you got to at least get it onto that thing correctly, and then push down at the right angle. I've actually ordered myself a tool that pushes down perfectly, so you still have to get it onto the cannon pinion thing there, but then it pushes down perfectly for you. So that was my first attempt. I'm going in for my second attempt now. I started trying to figure out, why is this not going on? Is this just my bad skills? Because, well, that certainly could be the issue. I'm swapping tools around a little bit because I really don't know which one is actually the best tool to use. As I said, I've just ordered this particular tool, which I think is going to be a lot better to use, but at the moment I'm just using that, and this is where I'm starting to realize that maybe I've done something wrong because, well, if you look closely, well, I haven't figured, I see, you can see I'm looking at it going, is there something wrong with that? I think there might be something wrong with that, but I'm going to give it another attempt anyway. This was attempt number 3. Push that down, hold on to that, push that down. Yeah, I think this is a last ditch effort, to be honest, because I think I've already realized that at this point that, yeah, but look, it just pops straight off, and it pops straight off because I've bent it. Yes, I've caused some damage to this particular hand, and well, this is the point in the video where I then had to stop because I've damaged that hand, and I'm just editing this video at the moment right here in front of me. But at this point in this video when I was filming, I then had to order some more hands. So let's order those hands. Let's wait about 2 weeks for them to arrive, and then set up the cameras again. So you'll see there's a slightly different camera angle now. Yep. So we're going to try again with these new camera angles, and yes, okay, I actually think I've set the cameras up better now, but I've put up this little light in front of me as well to give me a little bit more ability to see properly. I've got my glasses on, using the Rodico, lining up the hands a little bit better. Does that look better? Oh, I think that looks better. I don't know. I'm still playing around with these camera angles when I do these builds. This is a learning process for me, both with putting watches together, putting hands on, finding which tools, the right tools, but also filming it at the same time. You'll see I'm doing the narration over the top now. I think the first time I did one of these builds, I tried talking at the same time I was doing the builds, and that made it a whole lot more difficult. So now I'm doing this narration over the top. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Oh, did that work? Am I using the right tool? I really don't know at this stage. I'm really looking forward to this other tool arriving because I think that's going to be a better thing. But you can see this is attempt number 1, and I think it actually kind of worked. Yes, I think I got it on. I'm just looking now to see whether or not it's off the dial. There needs to be a nice little gap, and you can see that there is a nice little gap there. All right, well, camera angle number 2. That's a much better camera angle, but then my hand gets in the way. All right, so I'm going to try putting the minute hand on now. And surprisingly, you'll see this actually takes me a couple of turns, but actually not that much. It's not quite right. I've been watching a lot of videos trying to figure out how to best do this. I keep getting scared of doing certain things, but you can see that people are a little bit aggressive with it, but not too aggressive with it. Push down, push down. Now I can see that I'm not right at the right angle, so I need to push it across as well because I need to have this at midnight, and you'll see I'm about 4 or 5 past at the moment. which then creates a little bit of a drama later for me. So I push it over, I'm trying to push it over, push it, get it to over to midnight. Come on, move, 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 move. I don't know. No, that didn't work. Okay, so yes, this is a learning process, but you know what? I'm actually quite enjoying it. The first couple of times that I did this, I found this hand process rather frustrating, but I'm now leaning into that frustration a little bit, going, you know what? No, I don't need to be frustrated. This is meant to be enjoyable. And I've actually started to actually enjoy it now. Again, look, I flicked across to the 5 past. Why did it do that? I don't know. But it seems to be working a little bit better now. I think I sped the video up a little bit more here just to make this a little bit quicker. Otherwise, it's going to end up being a long video. But I've pushed down at a weird angle. And this is why I've got this machine thing coming, because it pushes down straight. So I'm using this little Bergeon hand tool thingy-bobby just to lift it up a little bit. This is something I saw on a video and I pushed it up too high. Yeah. So now I'm pushing back down again. But that pretty much worked out quite well, because as you can see now, look, they're lined up. Woohoo! And yeah, they're not too much of a cutting out too much video there either. But now, well, this is the bane of all of our modding people existences, especially when we're first starting to do this. The first time that I put a second hand on, 40 minutes maybe, 30 minutes, it really was hard work. A couple of times, then I've done a couple more mods and a couple more sort of builds since then. And I got it down to about 20 minutes of that last one. That watch that I'm wearing at the moment, that other Namoki build, which you can't quite see in frame, that took about 20 minutes to get the second hand on. But I've watched these other few sort of videos, and the placement of the second hand, you do it a little bit differently. You kind of want to just sort of get it on a slight angle and almost drop it in and then just push down gently. It's not about using the tip of it. It's sort of almost angle and push, angle and push. Did it work? Look at that. Yep. Seriously, that actually, I think it took me about 2 goes to get that done, about 3 minutes, and it's pretty much lined up. I think I had to play with it just a tiny little bit just to get them all perfectly lined up so there's no fouling of the hands together. So now I'm gonna play with it. Yep. So now you sort of put a little bit of charge into the watch, so it is going to be ticking. And then I'm going to pull that temporary crown out. Click. Yep. Now hack the movement and move the hands. Make sure that there's no fouling of the hands, and to see whether that lined up and see where it clicked over about 5 past. You can see that's what sort of then lined up with how I then put that minute hand on. So that was my fault. So we've got the case. So this is an integrated style case with an integrated style bracelet, which is not my favorite design of watch. However, this is a smaller watch, a 36mm, which I'm hoping actually then results into something that might be a little bit okay on my wrist, because I'm trying to get used to an idea of having an integrated bracelet, and it doesn't seem to be working for me. But I then got to use that nice little ball tool to get the case back off. Now drop that on. Did I get that on first go? I think I did. Turn it over. Now I've got to push the movement in. I think you use the crown a little bit here to then center the movement to ensure that it's in the right spot. I do skip ahead a little bit here. This took me just a few minutes of lining it up and then clicking it in, and yeah, just very gently, take your time, click, 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 in it goes. Now this is the crown and the thread for the crown, or the whatever it's called. So the Namoki builds actually give you the correct thread size, so you don't actually have to chop it. All you have to do is actually put the crown onto that thread, or onto that crown stem, sorry, I'm bad with my terminology. Got it on, took me a couple of goes, but it's already all cut to the length, beautiful. Set it, click it in, attach it to the thread, wind up the movement. That all seems to be working just fine, yep. So I'm just checking the thread there and then the gap there to make sure that it is in fact the correct length. And use the puffer. You've got to use the puffer on absolutely everything. And I'm going to take out that little O-ring now. Yeah, get that out of there. Now I don't have a greasing thing. I should have had a greasing thing where you put the little O-ring into the greasing container and do it. But I don't, so I'm just going to do it as is. Line it up, put it in there, use those tweezers. I've actually got a couple of sets of tweezers, and I've found there's actually one set that is the right set, so I've identified that and then thrown out the other ones because I think I kept using the wrong set of tweezers. Ooh, yep, we're coming together here, aren't we? Yeah, it's almost there. Got it on, basically. I'm going to use the rubber ball. Get the rubber ball. Yeah, the rubber ball. Okay, get that on, and then later on I use another tool just to do the last little bit. There you can see it's looking good. That silver on silver on silver. I do happen to like that. It seems to be something that I am enjoying quite a lot at the moment. And it seems to be sort of dominating my collection a little bit at the moment. But I'm just doing a final check before I start doing anything else. Oh, bracelet. Here comes the bracelet. But I want to make sure that everything wasn't fouling, everything's moving right. Look at the shimmer on that. I do find the links on this are actually quite big, so be mindful of that if you are going to order this kit. But I'm going to size it up now. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time showing you me sizing a bracelet. I'm sure you know how to size a bracelet. So I'll just cut a little bit in here. They are screw links. I've used my little trusty Stanley screwdriver here. Get those links out. And that was pretty easy. Take those links out. Yep, and I'll just show you the size of the links now because they are relatively big. Slow down the video a touch. Trying very careful not to scratch anything here because I want this to be as nice as possible. Yep, nice solid links. And it's on my wrist now. Sized up, and see I've got a 17 centimeter wrist, and that integrated bracelet on that size of case is much better, and I think I'm actually quite happy with this. Look, it's on my wrist now. It's very shiny. It fits nicely. The overall quality of the watch is very nice. It's the right size for me, and I'm very happy with it. I'm not happy that I damaged that minute hand at the start of this video. That was all halfway through this build process. That wasn't great, but I can live with that. I got another set of hands. It all went okay. I'm definitely getting better at this, and it is also giving me more confidence to do more of these. So thank you so much to Namoki for this awesome watch and fun project, and I'm looking forward to doing some more interesting builds in the future. Thanks for watching, and here's a couple more videos. I'll probably try and put some videos that are relating to watch builds up there now for you to watch next.